Hi, welcome to All Things Possible. I'm Chris Barney and I'm excited to share with you today. We're going to be talking about how do you create trust. We're going to be talking about this because it's such an important factor in all aspects of our life. And before we jump into all of the content, I just want to remind you to join our community. If you haven't joined All Things Possible, you need to join with us. We have a lot of gifts and a lot of information for you. We put out a new video and blog every week with content, and we would love to have you be part of our community. So join at allthingspossible.biz, right here on the screen. Again, allthingspossible.biz. Okay, so let's talk about this. How do we create trust with people? You know, so many times we talk about what are the aspects of trust, and we're going to talk a little bit with this Venn diagram. I love Venn diagrams because I think it helps you dial in and connect on how things cross over and how we can implement other pieces of things to work for us. But before we jump into that, I want to talk about trust. It is so important for us to show integrity, to create that trust between our friends, our family, and our coworkers, right? The community. You have to show integrity. I want you to think about this. It's an election year, and think about, are you trusting those candidates? Are you trusting the people that are running for office, right? Huge piece is integrity. The other thing is they have to be open and honest. A lot of people think honesty and integrity are the same thing, and they are very similar, but we have to be open and honest at all times. The minute you say something, even if it's this little white lie, the minute that you have something like that, you've lost your integrity. You've lost that trust, right? And so we have to be really careful and really focused on making sure that we're being open and honest and not trying to hide things, right? Just because you didn't say it doesn't mean it didn't happen. One of the things that we have to remember at all times is to be reliable and dependable. You know, so many times we think, okay, so how can I raise my integrity? How can I raise my trust level with people? And yet, it's simple things like showing up for work, having that report done, showing up for your family, keeping that date that's on your calendar, keeping that exercise appointment with yourself. There's so many ways to raise our reliability and dependability, and they're so important. The next thing is listen more than you talk. Now, I'm listening. How many times do you find yourself talking so much and then they didn't hardly say anything, right? We love to talk about ourselves, so does everybody else. But when you can listen, you can find out so much information. It's interesting when you're working in business, especially in sales, if you will just stop and listen, you'll find out what pain points that company has, what things they need, what your next product might be, right? Because they'll talk. And so when we can listen more than we talk, we will gain trust from those people. They trust us because they feel like they can share with us. Another one is to show you care. And if you don't care, then you're probably in the wrong business, right? If you can't show that you care and that what they're going through is important to you, then they're not going to trust you. You've got to show that you care and genuinely mean it. It can't just be a facade. People see through that. They're getting very aware of body language, of how you're showing up, and they know. They know whether to trust you or not. A lot of people, the energy levels have raised and people are more aware of energy, and you can walk into a room and they will feel that energy. They will know if they should do business with you or not before you even open your mouth most of the time. And they can go look at all the things, they can look at you online. There is no way to keep secrets because there's so much online. And they aren't just going to go see just the part that you share and the only pieces about you that you put out there. They're going to see everything. They're going to look at the reviews. They're going to look at all the different things that are out there about you and about your company, and they're going to find out for themselves So they're going to trust what other people say about you more than you say about yourself. And they know that you created your website and you can say whatever you want on there, right? The other thing is to be transparent. Because they can go find out so much about you, if you are not the same person on stage, off stage, in front of them for sales, and, you know, with your family or doing something else. You know, I had a speaker and I looked up to this speaker a lot. And I thought this speaker was a great person until I saw them lose it at the counter at the airport. And I thought, wow, that wasn't even close to what I had thought about this speaker before. And I immediately lost respect for this person. And I lost trust in this person because they weren't the same on stage and off stage, right? And so we have to be transparent and we have to be the same person. You can't just have integrity with this person but not that person. You can't have trust with this person on the team but not this person. You have to be able to share that amongst all of you. And there needs to be no hidden agenda. You know, if you really have their best interest at heart, there isn't a hidden agenda. There is, you want something that's going to help them. If you have something that will help their company, it's not all about making money. It's about creating a change for them and creating something that helps them. And when they're the first thing that you're thinking of, if they're the priority, that is when you build trust. So trust is the cornerstone of all relationships, of all things. In this particular Venn diagram, trust is our centerpiece. And trust becomes very valuable and a part of all of this as we build these. So as we build our integrity, as we build our respect, and as we build relationships, they all can stand alone. But when you want to build trust, it's going to take all of these because you're going to be seen in all of these. But when you connect relationships with integrity, you get this piece right here. And when we do that, that is when we can start having collaboration. And when we have collaboration, that is when we can do business together. That is when we have integrity and we have a relationship. That is when we have marriage. That is when we collaborate together to create more. And that is really important because collaboration is a key, especially in business. If we're trying to get something done, we're trying to move to the next level, we're trying to create a sale. Those things are really important. When we take integrity and we take respect, then we are able to have creativity. When we are having integrity, so everyone is on the same page, we have high integrity and we have high respect, that is when creativity begins. And we begin to have this piece of integrity where the crossover is that we can create new things. We can create, you know, that next product, or we can create that family dynamic. When we have both of these and they cross over, that is when we get the creative pieces that really add value. That is when you move to the next level. The other one we have over here is when we have a good relationship and we have respect. Then we have communication. Communication is key because without communication, nothing will happen, right? So communication is very important. When you have a good relationship and you have mutual respect for each other, you build that trust, which creates communication. When we can have collaboration, communication, and creativity added to the pieces, it's phenomenal because we can have growth. We can grow in business, and I do trainings for business, and so I love to teach this piece on trust because how many times do you start a Venn diagram with these three things to have trust in the center? Because when all of these are working together, we have mutual trust and we can create anything together. And it just raises that level. Let's talk about the 3 pieces of trust, the 3 different important steps of trust. First, it's trust yourself. When you can trust self, that way you can trust your gut, you can trust your intuition, you can trust your ideas to move forward in a bigger way. We don't doubt it, second guess it, right? When we trust ourselves, when we build that trust with ourselves, to do that we raise our integrity, right? We have respect for ourselves. We keep our word with ourselves, and we build that respect to have a good relationship with self. It's the most important relationship you have. So to create that trust within yourself, it then gives you that value to go forward. Second, we've got to trust, this is if we're going in business, we've got to trust that company or that product or both, right? If you're on a team and you cannot trust this product works and you have no desire to trust what it does and you don't believe in it, you won't be a good piece on that team. You won't be a good employee for that company. Think about this in the family situation. If you cannot trust your spouse, what happens? Right? Do you stay together? Does the family stay together? When trust is broken, a lot of things happen. Okay? We split up. We don't stay together. And we lose that whole piece. Okay? We don't have integrity. If we feel like they're out of integrity, we don't respect them anymore, right? What about the relationship? It just falters. So think about that. Trust in the company and the product, trust in the family and the marriage, all of those are the same. The last one is trust the management and the team. When you do not trust the management, the higher up levels, when you don't trust that they have your interests at heart, when you don't trust that they're doing the right things for you, they're bringing in the right people to give training, when you don't feel like you have enough training or you have the knowledge but it's not allowed to be given to you, when you feel like if you're at risk to open your mouth and ask a question, that there might be repercussions, there's no trust there. You're missing this trust piece. And when we can build that from integrity, respect, and relationships, then we start to get our collaboration, communication, and creativity, and we all come together. These are just a little piece of the part of trust that I teach on all the time. It's those little things that we do on a consistent basis that will ultimately change our life. You've probably heard me say that a lot. I say it all the time because it's so true. As we build this, and this is just a simple Venn diagram, but as we look at this, you can start to see how everything builds on each other and how much more trust is involved. I wanted to share a quick story with you. Probably a couple of them. When I would work with my children, all of them have different personalities. All of them worked differently. All of them had great ideas. And I had 3 boys in 3.5 years. So they were close in age, but they were every other year in school. And as they got into high school, they became their own company. We helped them get in business and have their own company. They were the hardworking fools. And they were known for how hard they worked. So it was awesome. But my one son, my youngest son, Blake, I learned that the best way that I could have him help me was to step back and let him do it the way he thought was best. I had to be able to say, what do you think we should do? How do you think we should put this trampoline in the ground? Like, what do you think we should do? How do you think we should do it? How could it be done? Most of the time, his ideas were better than mine. Most of the time. But he would be so much more driven to do the project and to complete the project, and it would get done faster if I just said, what do you think? Why don't you go ahead and do that? Or tell me how I could help you. And I stepped back and let him be the leader. Now, he's a huge leader today in his job, and it's one of his attributes that's phenomenal. But I still step back and ask him. And recently he came into town and we got talking about, we wanted to spend some one-on-one time together, and he could work from home, so he was working from here, but he came in to visit for a few days. And the one afternoon, it was like, okay, this 3-hour block we're going to spend together. And when we decided to spend this time together, it was like, what do you want to do? And he goes, I want to do a mastermind with you. And I said, okay, that would be awesome. What are we gonna mastermind about? And he goes, we're gonna mastermind about your next book. I was like, wow. And we did. It was phenomenal. We totally broke down and did this whole book, the chapters, the different pieces of it, the different sections, and it was phenomenal. But I sat in the chair and let him take the lead. He was writing everything on the board, and we had a whiteboard on one side and a paper flip chart, and we just diagrammed out this whole book because I stepped back and let him lead. So trust that they know what they're doing. When you find that someone is doing something better than you, or you find that that's a quality that they have, allow that, trust them to step forward. And because I've been able to do that, most of the time it is to my benefit. Things get done faster, whether we are painting in the house or putting the trampoline in the ground. Doesn't matter. Most of the time it was better if I stepped back and allowed him to lead in those projects, and it worked really well. Another one, about a year ago, I had an assistant that was phenomenal and worked with me very well. I loved what she brought to our company, and I just kind of turned her loose and said, okay, these are the things I need. This is what needs to happen. How do you feel like we could do this? Excuse me. And she was like, okay, well, I want to do this and this and this and this. I said, that's great. As she got, moving down the road, she started compiling that this is what I do. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm doing it. She put this whole little manual together of her job. And I was like, that's great, because now the next person can step in and just read the book, right? That's what needed to be done. When I allowed her to just have her space and say, okay, this is what I want on social media. This is what I want on this particular thing. This is what needs to happen here. This is the conversation that I want you to have with the people you're calling. When I just stepped back and let her come up with her own script, and I gave direction, but I allowed her the freedom to do what she could do, and it became this really great situation because I showed trust in her. When we have trust and respect, right? When we respect, we have integrity, and we have a good relationship, we start to have collaboration, communication, and creativity that works. Thanks for joining me today. I want to just remind you, if you haven't joined our community, join allthingspossible.biz. Again, right here at the bottom, allthingspossible.biz. We put out new information all the time, and we would love to have you join us. I have one question for you as we end. Are you part of the problem, or are you part of the solution? We need to be part of the solution. And the biggest way, fastest way you can have a better solution is to build trust. Trust is huge. Everyone wants to feel trust. They want to feel all of these things. So I challenge you to build more trust in your relationships, in your community, in your business, on your teams, and with yourself. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time on All Things Possible. Bye-bye.